Hi, Gloria Lybecker here with Healing You. When we have close relationships with other people, there are going to be inevitable ruptures that are going to happen. Some of those ruptures may not make sense in the moment, and yet they can leave you staggered. I'll never forget one day talking on the phone with a very dear and close friend. And I heard them say, "I don't know if I can call you back. I'm so overwhelmed. I just don't think I can." When I took in this expression from my trusted friend, I felt a sense of shock run through me. It was as if icy water, cold water, had been splashed in my face. My stomach contracted and my heart burned. I felt desperate, so confused, and so needing companionship, needing to know I mattered, and I needed understanding. And quickly following that, I felt my whole sense of self slowly becoming numb. And then cellular exhaustion descended upon my heart and my soul. The rest of the day was a blur as I experienced everything and everyone as an irritation and annoyance. I didn't bother to arise early the next morning, but I hid under the warm, thick covers, and I was waiting with a glimmer of hope for my scheduled empathy call to ring in. Oh, I remember relief just coursed through my body as I answered the call. And yet I noticed a bit of inner resistance and disconnect as I was asked what age this shocked part of myself was. I said, "I don't have a sense of being any age at all." And when my empathy buddy encouraged me to drop into my body sensations, I felt the familiar burn in my chest and the contraction in my belly. And then suddenly, my throat clenched and tears stung my eyes, and the remembrance of my best friend's birthday party when I was in 7th grade, it sprang up in my mind's eye. And so, stepping through time, I heard the new girl from school demand that I be left behind in the woods, utterly alone. Shock and despair, confusion and bewilderment and disbelief numbed me. And even after finding my way back to my friend's house, and some time later, after everyone returned, I realized I was completely invisible and no longer mattered to my once loved and warm community. Oh, my empathy buddy said, "This brings tears to my eyes. Does your compassionate self have a guess for this little you? Or would you like some support with guesses?" I was barely able to speak, so I gratefully received a steady flow of life-serving guesses for this younger part of myself. And I witnessed layer after layer of shame and horror and embarrassment as it released from my body. I breathed in the resonant tone of voice that was laced with grace and care, tenderness and love. And it allowed my body to shake and tremble as it released the blocked emotions. I realized that when I had turned to my mother for comfort and understanding, that she had been as confused and bewildered as I. And she simply said she didn't know why it had happened. I was left with no support to make sense of my sudden isolation. And my body repressed the sharp pain of the memory until I was held with this kind of support that sought not to take away my pain, but to help me sit with it, to acknowledge it and release it. Oh, and then my compassionate self-witness, my right prefrontal cortex, brought 2 gorgeous black Frisian horses back in time and invited my younger self to ride home with her. With the warm wind blowing through our hair, we rode over the grassy hills and under a warm blue sky all the way back to the barn. And days later, I noticed that the cells of my body felt open, light, energized, and present. It was such a new experience. It is essential to realize that any barrier that we experience when it comes to fully accepting our children or others, it originates in our cells, our own past conditioning. When we're unable to accept them, it's because old wounds have been triggered in us. And when we're willing to allow these tender and vulnerable parts of ourselves to be held and welcomed back with loving acceptance and gratitude, we discover the path to being able to hold others in that same light of love and acceptance. If you're needing support today on your journey, reach out to me at healingyoursanctuary.com. And thank you for being on this journey here with me today, healing you.